Hi, everyone. I hope you're all doing well. Um, we are in the second week of Unit 4, and I wanted to provide a little bit of an overview of the needs assessment assignment that you are going to complete this week. So I have to be honest, I changed this assignment up pretty significantly this past summer. I found that there was past students that posted their um, assignments on a website called Course Hero. And so I was super disappointed that one of our students would do that. And so I had to change this assignment. So you are actually the first class to kind of tackle this assignment from this perspective. Before I had assigned students each a sector of healthcare, but I ran across a great case study. I apologize. My dog is breathing very heavy right now. It's driving me a little nuts. I hope you can all hear it. Um, anyways, I used to assign a sector of healthcare, but I found this great case study this past summer for home healthcare agency. And so I think we're going to tackle this assignment from that perspective. So hold on, I'm going to pause this really quick and let my dog out. Okay. So I'm not going to read the assignment introduction to you, but please take some time to read that. I really want to make sure that you all have read chapters 1 and 7 in Margaret A's text to just really understand what a needs assessment is and to understand the primary and secondary uses of an EHR system. For the purposes of this assignment, I really want you to focus on the primary uses of an EHR system, okay? All right, so again, I'm not going to read the case scenario, but please read it in its entirety, okay? So what it does is it really describes how a home healthcare agency went about, um, um, selecting an EHR for their home health agency, okay? So, but I really want to get to is the assignment instructions because this has always been a point of confusion and I just want to go over it a little bit, okay? All right, so down here. Okay, so assignment instructions. So I will read this. So let's take a step back in the system development lifecycle to the analysis phase. The requirements analysis section of the case scenario identified needs that administration and leadership desires. What I want you to do is create a plan that addresses how you, as the project manager, are going to conduct a functional needs assessment to address clinical staff, revenue cycle staff / management, and end user needs. And again, please review Chapter 7 in the Margaret A. text for guidance. Okay, so this functional needs assessment is to determine what are the needs of those end users? So from a functional standpoint, so what do they need to do their jobs, right? And so you're charged with ensuring that input is gathered from all staff and departments for functional requirements. And so from a project manager standpoint, how will you ensure clinical staff buy-in, revenue cycle staff and management, and end user buy-in? Okay, so I want you to approach kind of talk about how you're going to approach that and get their buy-in and how you're going to ensure that input is gathered from all staff and really explain the how you will accomplish this. Okay, I want you to be specific and I want you to support your plan with supporting documentation from your own research or the Margaret A text. There is information in the Margaret A text about ways to approach a functional needs assessment, and so that will help guide you in this. Okay, and then the second part of that is how will you identify the internal and external information needs of the home health agency? Again, explain how you will accomplish this. What is the best way to do this based on your research and/or course readings? Be specific and support your plan with supporting documentation, again, for your personal research or the Margaret A text. And when you think about internal and external information needs, think about what do these departments need from each other? Okay, that's internal. External information needs. What does the billing department need? What does HIM need? What kind of information are they working with? Okay, what kind of data are they working with? What do they need from external sources and internal sources in order to do their jobs through the EHR? Okay. All right, so then after that, using what you learned through your research and through your functional needs assessment with clinical staff, revenue cycle staff / management, and users, utilize the table below to identify the key differentiators or needs of your organization. Okay, so before I dive into this, I just want you to know that I am expecting you to have some kind of understanding of home health care. Okay, so definitely do some research on home health care and kind of how they do business, honestly. They use an OASIS form to gather data, and that is the form that they use for the reimbursement. Get an understanding of that. How does home health work? They're sending individuals out into people's homes, right, to work with them. How is data captured in the home while they're with that patient? All of those kinds of things I want you to research, okay? So you have a really good understanding of what home health is before you kind of go into this and you're identifying these key differentiators, okay? Okay, so many EHR products will include many of the same functions, especially if they are certified, right? And which most EHR vendors today are. And only using the responses to the request for proposal can be very difficult to narrow the field of vendors to just, a few you actually want to conduct further due diligence with as you move into the acquisition phase of the system development lifecycle. So the complete response to the RFP ensures that all functionality is addressed in your ultimate contract with the vendor of choice, but is overwhelming for narrowing the field. So using a table like the one below, I'm going to show you that in a second, can help you complete an objective side-by-side comparison of vendors on key selection differentiators or needs. So what I want you to do is to identify a set of key differentiators or needs and record them on the tool. The key differentiators should be unique to the nature of home care, and there should be between 15 and 20 key differentiators. Really, if the word differentiators is confusing, just think of it as what are the needs of the organization, okay? That's essentially what it is. So don't get hung up on that, okay? All right. So like I just said, I guess I forgot I had this note here, but this think about this. So it's important to consider what makes home care unique compared to a hospital or primary care clinic, and the types of functionality, technology, implementation, ongoing support, and vendor characteristic needs that home care has. Okay. All right. So I'm just giving these are totally samples. I'm not saying that these are um these are just examples. I'm not saying that these are what you should have, but I just want to kind of go over how to kind of fill this table out, okay? So what I have is, let's just start with this first column. So we have comprehensive functionality, technology, implementation, ongoing support, and then vendor characteristics, okay? So these are the different sections, right? So I'm looking for what is the comprehensive functionality that the EHR needs to have for home health care. So maybe you do some research and you find that it needs to have an app that can be easily used on an iPad that's used in somebody's home. It needs to have electronic OASIS form. It needs to have um, um, voice recognition for maybe these nurses or nurses aides dictate when they're out on the field. Whatever you find, that would be kind of the comprehensive functionality. So that kind of core, I would say, the core functionality that you need the EHR system to have or possess. Technology is more that like the techie side of it, right? So maybe hardware and other things that it needs to be able to work with other technologies. So my examples here were compatible tablets. So like I just said, maybe the app, drawing tools, interfaces. What do we need it to interface with? Some kind of a pharmacy type system? Do we need it to interface with lab? All those kinds of things to consider. Then what type of implementation, ongoing support? So for implementation, think about things like the on-site training, 24/7 help desk support. What type of implementation and ongoing support does the organization need or desire? Vendor characteristics, this might be a little bit more challenging, but think about this uh, being certified, having good reputation. Do you want it to be web-based? Do you want it to be server-based, cloud storage, like those kinds of characteristics about the actual vendor? And you can do some research on that, okay? Then there are different forms of due diligence. Due diligence means how are you going to determine that these EHRs have this key differentiator or this functionality. Okay, so you see here I've listed 1, 2, and 3. This is just a sample, but I'm going to scroll down because they're right here. So for each key differentiator need, identify the form or forms of due diligence that will reveal the best information for each of the key differentiators. So the due diligence tells me how you will go about evaluating whether the vendor can provide you with the key differentiator and or meet the need. So in the column titled due diligence, identify which of the following you would use to make that determination. So for functionality, oftentimes the RFP is going to spell out what type of functionality the EHR has. An EHR demonstration, so that could be a remote demonstration, somebody coming on site to provide the organization with a demonstration, your staff going somewhere for a demonstration, that's what that is. Number 3, a site visit to another organization using that EHR product or vendor. So maybe there's a neighboring home health agency and you want to take a group of staff there to look and see how they're using their EHR. You could conduct a reference check. So that's maybe just a phone call to another site using the EHR. And then a corporate check. That's a little bit more like, doing some more research online, talking with, checking with to make sure they're certified, those kinds of things. All right, so that's what that column is. You just simply have to put the number that correlates to the form of due diligence in that second column, okay? Then lastly, I would like you to do a little bit of research and find 2 vendors that are out there, okay? And do the best that you can in terms of determining if they have or if they have this functionality that you have listed or these needs, meet these, if that vendor is able to meet these needs in the first column, okay? So what I want you to do there is like I said, perform market research for home care to understand the EHR products that are available, identify 2, vendor A and B, enter those names in that table, and then based on your market research and the information you can obtain from the vendor, rate the vendor on each key differentiator or need. And then here's a scale I'd like you to use for each of those, okay? Then just conclude it with a short statement, just 2 to 3 sentences on which vendor would be selected and your rationale for your selection. This is something that's often missed, and so I don't want you to forget it. I'm going to actually bold it and underline it right here. Students sometimes forget that, and then I say, hey, you forgot that. Can you add it? And I'll give you your points. So don't forget that. And so just like in summary, it has 2 deliverables, okay? Number 1 is that plan that addresses how you're going to conduct a functional needs assessment for your organization's home care. And the second is a completed table with that vendor selection statement, okay? So I hope that this was helpful to you. This is something that takes place all the time in healthcare organizations where you're looking for different IT solutions, and this is kind of a nice way to go about doing it. And so I hope that I'll find it practical and kind of interesting as well to learn a little bit maybe about home care if you're not familiar with it. So I thank you for your time, and I hope that you all have a great rest of your week. Thanks.